social media platforms. So we have the Facebook up and running. We have the YouTube, and hopefully, if everything continues to work out, we'll have a new national media marketing PR director over that department. And this person will have some support of some brothers and sisters who have already put in time and energy and effort to make that department a success. So I want to start, as I've been starting for the past few weeks, I want to start with what it means to be Black in America, because being Black in America is different than being anything else. And we have to be open and honest with ourselves about the reality that we're facing here in America. And because if we're not open and honest with ourselves about what it means to be Black in America, the reality of what it means to be Black in America, the issues that we face, the enemies that we are have to push back against, the many threats and predators that exist in and around our communities. If we're not talking about that, then how are we going to strategize against it? If we don't strategize against it, how are we going to engage it? And of course, if we're not engaging it, then how are we going to change it? So we want to talk about, what it means to be Black in America, and a few of the things that we're up against. So let me take a step back and introduce myself. I'm always forgetting to do that. My name is Tumani Mwandani. I am a contributing member of the Black Gold Nation movement. I am a direct revolutionary, visionary product of the leadership and tutelage of Cardinal Mbayu Chewy out of the Shrines of the Black Madonna, and an indirect result of the teachings of Reverend Jeramogi Ajayi, or the Reverend Albert B. Clegg of the Shrines of the Black Madonna. That started in 1953. So I kind of want to say that because I want you guys to know who I am, what my background is. And if you want to know more about me, you can go to our main website, blackgoldnation.com, click on About, click About the Author, or click on About, click the Author, and my bio is there if you want to know more information. So the title of today's live broadcast is "The Black Reality in America in 2019 is Killing Us." Now let's understand why our solutions have failed and how we reassess and change them to change the trajectory in 2020. So we want to talk about our reality. We want to talk about why our solutions have failed, and we want to talk about how we can reassess those failures, turn them into positives, learn from them, and move forward. So starting with what it means to be Black in America, our reality, the Black reality in 2019. The bottom 50% of our households are worth less than $1. We got more brothers incarcerated in America worldwide. We have more brothers incarcerated in America than all women are incarcerated worldwide. Here in America, there are more brothers locked up in America than there are women locked up worldwide. Our Black farmers are still discriminated against by the USDA. They still can't get the money that they need, the loans that they need to move their products to market like the white farmers do. Automation, artificial intelligence, and machine language is replacing millions of jobs, which of course is going to affect our people. The White House just removed 3 million people from the food stamp rolls, and most of you probably know that there are more white people on food stamps than black people, but that does not mean that a large number of our people are now on food stamps, which means it's going to affect them. Food deserts, which is defined as an area that has limited access to affordable, nutritious food, exists in almost every predominantly Black and brown community in this country. Purge activity, which includes assassinations, murders, kidnappings, organ and sex trafficking, crimes committed in Black masks and Black skins by white people. That activity is taking place in Black communities nationwide. Again, purge activity from the movie The Purge, which includes assassinations, murders, kidnappings, organ and sex trafficking, crimes committed in Black masks and skins by white people. That activity is taking place in and around our communities nationwide. The Portland police just digitally removed tattoos from a Black man's face to make him look like a suspect. This is the reality of what it means to be Black in America and what we're up against. Portland police digitally removed tattoos from a Black man's face to make him look like a suspect, and he subsequently was identified and arrested and has been charged with that crime that he did not commit. But because the police made him look like the suspect, the person that the eyewitness was able to identify him as the person that committed the crime, and he's being charged with that crime. We have to deal with over 900 white supremacist organizations in this country, many of whom are training for a race war. That's a problem for us because we are not training for such a race war, or we're not training to defend ourselves if that race war were to happen. There have been 255 mass shootings in America since the beginning of this year, and there will be more. The Department of Homeland Security And a recent study has found that state and local law enforcement agencies nationwide have been infiltrated with neo-Nazi members and started secret terrorist cells. This is here in America. Started secret terrorist cells developed to terrorize Black and Latino residents. It's a problem for us. The Donald Trump administration under Jeff Sessions has reinstituted the privatizing of federal prisons, which means there's of course a profit motive to incarcerating Black and brown and poor white people. Under President Trump, the FBI's official counterterrorism priorities have included, quote, Black identity extremists, anti-authority extremists, and animal rights and environmental extremists. The Donald Trump administration has refused, and not just the Donald Trump administration, but the Donald Trump administration and every generation prior has refused to label and pursue domestic terrorism by white identity extremists on the same level as foreign terrorists. Since 9/11, more domestic terrorism has happened in this country at the hands of white identity extremists than anybody else. But the federal government under Donald Trump administrations and every administration prior has chosen to ignore these groups, which has allowed them to run rampant. And they are now manifesting some of their beliefs in these mass shootings, which is a problem for us. Approximately 25.4% of the American population of the United States identify themselves as evangelical Christians. And over 25% of them, some 20 million people, support Donald Trump. Again, approximately 25.4% of the American population in the United States identify themselves as evangelical Christians. And over 25% of that number, some 20 million people, support Donald Trump. Donald Trump by himself is one man. Donald Trump's crimes are the crimes of one man. Donald Trump's racism, his misogyny, his bigotry, his lies, his deceit, his theft is one person. However, when you back that with millions of people, you have a problem for those people that person disrespects, doesn't care about, or has a problem with. Donald Trump is in the same position that Hitler was in before he grew to power. Donald Trump is in the same position that Mussolini was in before he grew to power. Donald Trump is in the same position that Stalin was in before he grew to power. We have a man who has proven himself on multiple levels not to be the best person for the office of the presidency. And he's backed by 20 plus million people who don't care about his crimes. They don't care about his racism. They don't care about his bigotry. They don't care about his misogyny, his disrespect of people of color, his disrespect of women. All they care about is this white man is going to help us make, quote, America great again, end quote, which means we can do what we want to do because we believe this is our country. That's a problem for us, people of color in this country. We're up against 100 conservative think tanks that are focused on maintaining white supremacy and white power. As a problem for us because we don't have any Black people being paid in large numbers like these conservative think tanks to focus on Black power. There's a problem for us. We got to face a criminal justice system that's always been unjust, a bail bond system that's always been unfair and unjust, an education system that has not properly educated myself, my generation, the generation that came before me, our children today, and every generation to follow. It's a problem for us. A school-to-prison pipeline that's alive and well and highly functional in American society, a multi-billion-dollar prison industrial complex that you can buy stock in. It's not about rehabilitation. It's not about punishment for crimes. It's about money and free labor. That's a problem for us. Redlining, gerrymandering, and gentrification, political power at its finest, working against us, not for us, which is why it is so important that we have our own political power and our own political machine working in our best interest to move our people forward. Over the past decade, annual estimates of the number of gangs in the United States is approximately 27,000. That's an issue for us because we know that we have people of color terrorizing our own people. We don't have enemies that don't look like us causing problems. We have enemies that look like us causing problems, which means when we seek control and ownership of our communities, we have to protect our people from the enemies within as well as the enemies without. That's an issue that we have to confront and deal with. It's been 5 years since Flint, Michigan has had safe water to drink, bathe in, and use. The majority of Puerto Rican citizens were without power for over 11 months. Imagine being without power for 11 months, 11 days. Hell, 11 hours is a bit much. And Puerto Ricans, if you may not know, those are American citizens. American citizens of color, but American citizens nonetheless. And I refuse to accept the the propaganda, the story, the position that America couldn't do more to get them power sooner. Again, I've been in the military. I know what a quote tent city is. I know what the American military can do within 24 to 48 hours if it desires to build things any place in the world on a temporary basis to make sure that the population they're trying to help gets help. And we're talking about American citizens. I do not believe Puerto Rico had to go 11 months without power. But again, they're American citizens of color, which matters. The Donald Trump administration Citizenship and Immigration Services Department is seeking to change the language of the Statue of Liberty from "give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free" to language that translates to "give me your tired and your poor who can stand on their own 2 feet and who would not become a public charge." Very, very important for us to understand and realize, because America is changing. The people that built America, African slaves and immigrants, they want to label as people who just want to exist on the public teat. They don't want to do for self. They're not coming here to work. They're coming here to live off the government, which of course is not true. And with Donald Trump being in office, the forces supporting him, behind him, and them seeking to change America, that's a problem for us and those that are trying to come here, because those that are trying to come here, a lot of them are people of color. America's trying to keep them out by saying you can only come if you promise not to ever need government assistance. Who the hell can make that kind of a promise that I'm never going to need government assistance? That's the whole point of government, to assist the people. But this government is changing as a problem for us. So we got to be paying attention to that. The Department of Justice has proven that cities like Baltimore and Chicago have, quote, engaged in a pattern and practice of conduct that violates the First, the Fourth, and the 14th Amendments. Important for us to understand that, because the First Amendment allows for freedom of religion, speech, the press, and the right to assemble and petition your government. The Fourth Amendment allows for protection from unlawful searches and seizures. This means that the police can't search you or your home without a warrant or probable cause. And the 14th Amendment allows for citizenship and equal and legal rights to African American slaves who have been emancipated after the American Civil War. Now, a court just ruled that DeRay McKesson, the civil rights human rights activist, has no First Amendment defense in a Baton Rouge protest where a member of the protest threw something at a cop and the cop got injured. Now, again, the Donald Trump administration has just proven that large cities like Baltimore and Detroit have engaged in a, quote, pattern of practice and conduct that violates the First, Fourth, and 14th Amendments. And now we have a black man being charged with having no First Amendment rights. That is our reality as it relates to what it means to be black in America. So the things that I'm giving you isn't just conjecture or hyperbole or supposition or assumption. This is the reality of what it means to be black in America. And we can see these things rolling out, playing out today in everyday society. It's a problem for us. And lastly, on this brief snapshot of what it means to be black in America, the Donald Trump administration has repealed civil rights protections all across the country in HUD, housing, commerce, which is business, and in other governmental departments. Now, this is a brief snapshot of what it means to be black in America. Brief snapshot. Now, as people of color, we have to ask ourselves, if we are a critically thinking individual, how are we going to push back against these realities of what it means to be black in America? What are we going to do to push back against these things that are obviously working against our best interests in America? Again, the title of this live broadcast is "The Black Reality of America in 2019 is Killing Us." Now, let's understand why our solutions have failed and how we reassess and change them to change the trajectory. I was watching a Netflix special called The Black Godfather. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you see it for many reasons. For one, it's about a brother named Clarence Avant, who was a mover and shaker, rainmaker in and around Hollywood from the 50s to now. He's been doing things to move black people forward. Not necessarily in the limelight or the forefront, but he's been behind the scenes working his magic to make a lot of things happen. Excellent documentary. If you have not seen it, I suggest you watch it. And as I was watching this, as I'm still watching it because I'm not done with it, I was struck by watching our track record of protests from the 50s to now, and how we've done the same thing over and over and over and over and over again that we're still trying to do. And the black people that were not trying to do those things, but trying to build power for black people, which is the right way to do it, all of them are wiped out by this American government. So you have black people on one side trying to create change by doing the same old things over and over and over again that we're still doing, not getting anywhere. And you have other black people that are doing things the right way, which is building power wiped out by the American government. I used to say that by my research, we've created our own self-sufficient community 74 times, and 73 of them were destroyed by this American government. I was wrong. I learned most recently that that number is not 74, but 200. Since we've been here, since 1619 to now, 2019, we, black people, African Americans, descendants of slaves, melanated people, carbonated people, whatever you want to call us, those that got here on slave ships, those that were prisoners of war, because some of us were already here with the Native Americans, we have taken it upon ourselves in the midst of everything, slavery, Jim Crow, the lynchings, the Ku Klux Klan, being experimented on medically, indentured service, all the stuff that we've been through since we've been here, a systematic, purposeful effort to hold us back by this U.S. government. In the midst of all of it, we've created our own stuff 200 times. None of them exist right now. The only one that we can take credit for as a people for not moving forward is only one community in Durham, North Carolina. Everything else, all those other communities were destroyed by the American government. Actively destroyed by the government, the local law enforcement officials, the FBI, or the CIA, are not lending aid to those communities as the government promised. We have to understand what's been done, who did it, so that we can stop playing chess. Stop playing checkers and start playing chess. So as I'm watching this special about Brother Clarence Avant, the Black Godfather, and I'm watching all of this documentary footage about us trying to create change via protests, I was struck by our continued insistence on doing the same thing over and over again. And those black groups that said we're not going to do it that way, we're going to build our own stuff so we can have our own community, so that we can own and control our environment, they were targeted for destruction and consequently destroyed. That's telling, because that means the continued things that we've been doing that have not gotten us where we need to be are accepted. And we are allowed to do those things. Boycott, march, protest, and that's changing. All that stuff that we're allowed to do, which will never work. That's what you're allowed to do. And the things that we actually need to be doing, building our own communities where we can have our own stuff and do our own thing, those efforts were targeted by the American government and destroyed on purpose, which means we need to be doing the latter, not the former. And just because we're dealing with an enemy that's evil doesn't mean we stop fighting, doesn't mean we stop building, doesn't mean we stop doing, because our children still need us to do those things. Our children still absolutely must be in a position to own and control their environment so they can operate from a position of power, as opposed to subservience, second-class citizenship, appeasing or not trying to hurt white people's feelings. We got to stop being so nice. We have to be like everybody else in this country, everybody else in this world, and that we absolutely must build power, because power is where it's at. If you understand power, then you don't have to march in the street. You don't have to have a protest. You don't have to demand justice from somebody that's been lynching you for the last 400 years. Your power will speak for you, which is why we don't see other groups doing what we do, because they have power. I had a very, very, very fortunate opportunity to be introduced to a brother who is now over our international business department by the name of Peter Brown. Peter came to us as a referral from another sister, and we met, we spoke, had a conference call with the leadership this past weekend, and the brother made a very, 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 very profoundly simplistic point. He said, given our numbers around the world, he said he's traveled the world and he's never gone to any place in the world where we are not there. So we're everywhere. He said that if all of us decide to stump our left foot at the same time, we make the earth shift. We'd make the earth tremble. The point the brother's making is that we have the ability to do, because we got the numbers. Our numbers is our greatest asset, power, and strength. There is nothing that can be done or tried to be done against us, that our numbers and our unity cannot stop and or push back against. If we were united and organized and connected, our unity will be the bulwark, will be the protection, will be the shield that we need to ensure that whatever is being done to harm the black mind, body, spirit, and psyche, if it's done one time, it'll never happen after that, because our power will ensure that that does not happen. We will be able to answer that threat, answer that challenge in an organized, intelligent, sophisticated, a strategic manner. And that's why you absolutely must have leadership that understands this historical approach to building power for ourselves, understanding the enemy that we've been dealing with for the past 400 years, and understand what absolutely must be done moving forward. You have heard me talk about, and I don't know how many times, and I'm going to continue to say it because, again, it is a source of pride, my membership in the Shrines of the Black Madonna, which was a Christian church. So say what you will about the Christian church. All Black churches are not created the same. Our leadership in the church, absolutely phenomenal, generational, committed, dedicated, focused on building power for Black people so that we can do. We need that kind of leadership now, but we need that kind of leadership that's not necessarily, not that they can't be, but not necessarily religious, because religion is such a touchy issue for us. We don't care if you are religious, but we can't be led by a religious order or sect or understanding because it's too divisive. In this movement, we have leadership that understands the vision, understands the ultimate goal of what we're trying to do, understands where we need to go, and have these skills and expertise we need to move ourselves forward. And this has always been the motivation behind the Black Gold Nation movement. It's always been to identify leadership that we already have as a collective group, bring them together under one unified umbrella, give them everything they need, because we provide international support so they can continue to move and grow and be bigger, better, and stronger. That is how we win. Find people who know what they're doing. Surround them with layers of security, because they're going to need it, because they're trying to make Black people better. Provide them the resources that they need from all these people of color around the globe, and then move in a unified fashion. Now, we know it'll never be everybody. It's never been everybody. It'll never be everybody. And we don't want or need everybody. All we need is a critical mass. Now, in this movement, I don't know what you have. I don't know what you're attached to. I don't know what organization you're a part of and what you guys are doing. But in this movement, one of the things that makes us unique is we have capable and committed leadership in the key areas where our communities are being attacked and or where we're deficient, and they understand the importance of building power. We're not here to appease white people. We're not here not to make white people uncomfortable. We're not here not to ruffle some feathers. We're here because we love Black people. We're here because we understand the power of Black people. We're here because we know what Black people can do when Black people put their minds to, and as a result, we have leadership in this movement that's absolutely phenomenal. Now, this is just some of the areas that we have leadership in, and I want you to know what we have and what we're doing, because we are committed to a self-sufficient group of people that are trying to build power, because we understand that power is never given, power is never shared, power only respects power, and power is only taken. We have power. As a people, as a melanated group in this country, and as a melanated group around the world, we have power. We're simply not organized and connected in a fashion that will allow us to use that power to do what we need to do to move our people forward. In the Black Gold Nation movement, this is what we have right now today. We have agricultural leadership, 25 plus years, political organization and development leadership, 25 plus years, international business experience, 20 plus years, information technology experience, 25 years, economics and finance experience, 15 plus years, intelligence and security experience, 30 plus years, spiritual healing and well-being experience, 20 plus years, community development organization experience, 20 plus years, foreign policy analysis experience, 15 plus years, education experience, 15 plus years. That's what we bring into the table. And I'm not just talking about somebody that has worked in that area for that amount of time. I'm talking about somebody who's worked in that area for that amount of time understands the importance of having a self-sufficient group of people that are trying to build power in these areas. That matters. That matters because this group is not the group that's going to protest in the street, that's going to boycott or march only. We may do that, but we're also going to be trying to build power for our people because we understand that we absolutely must have power to move ourselves forward. And that's just the key areas that we're focused on as it relates to how our people are being attacked and destroyed in this country. Again, the Black Gold Nation movement is a non-religious umbrella organization focused on establishing Black communities that have influence, value, and power. I have lived in a community that was focused on influence, value, and power for our people. For 20 years, I've lived in that environment. And I've given this example before, and God knows I could give many others. And this is just one example. One police officer in that predominantly 100% Black-owned community, one police officer on the property in 20 years. And that's only because we called them because we needed to make a move and we needed it to be legal. Can you imagine if all of the things that the Black Gold Nation movement is trying to do, if we were only able to do that one thing, make Black communities safe where we don't need outside police, outside security presence, that changes a lot. And that's only one thing that we're focused on doing. But we would not have been able to do that if we didn't have the leadership, if we didn't have the program, if we didn't have the mission and the message. And I'm telling you that the Black Gold Nation movement has that. We have the program, the message, the mission, and the expertise to move. Now, if you or your organization does not have this, you need to be a part of what we're doing, because what you bring simply makes us bigger, better, and stronger. If you or your organization is not focused on building power for Black people moving forward, you need to be focused on that, because if we don't focus on that, we're going to continue to lose. There is no guarantee that our people won't be reintroduced to slavery in some form, because we have zero power right now today to push back against that threat. Again, we are up against over 900 white supremacist organizations, many of whom are focusing on a race war. If any of them decide to make a move against a predominantly Black or brown community, that Black or brown community is going to lose. And of course, we have people in that community that have weapons or guns or whatever and can shoot back. But shooting back against an individual, whereby you being attacked by a group, you're going to lose. And these groups have been training for years. That's why it's so important that we have leadership in these areas that can train us as well to push back in these areas. If you are a part of an organization that has leadership in these areas and you are moving toward building power for Black people, then we need to be allies, because we need allies to build power for ourselves, because this war that we're born into is only going to get worse. So we need to find those that think like us, that are doing as we are doing, so that we can align ourselves with one another, because if we don't, we're going to continue to lose. And what I'm saying to you today is that the same things that we've been doing for the past 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years is a result of our leadership. Because the leadership that's been okayed, I take that back, that has been okayed, no quotes, by those in power, is designed to only push us in a certain direction to do a certain thing. And the leadership that is not like that, the leadership that's focused on building power, has been targeted for destruction and destroyed. That means that our focus, all of our focus, needs to be being attached to an organization that's trying to build power for Black people. That doesn't mean you can't pursue your personal business goals. That doesn't mean you can't pursue your personal education goals. That doesn't mean that you can't aspire to be a good father, good husband, good wife, whatever. But what that does mean is that you absolutely must take time out of your daily life to attribute something to the building of Black power for Black people. Because if you don't, if we lose as a group, you lose as an individual. If we lose as a group, your family loses. If we lose as a group, everything you're trying to do will be a loss, because you will be a part of a group that has no power. What could stop us if those of us that are part of a melanated group, which outnumbers a non-melanated group 7-1 on this planet, What could we accomplish if we're unified and moving in the same direction? And of course, it'll never be all of us. So I'm not expecting all melanated people to be on the same page, because it doesn't work that way. But we don't need everybody. We need a critical mass that can prove the solutions that we're implementing, and then most of them will follow suit because they're not doing anything else. I'm saying that you need to be part of this kind, which I have yet to see, or this movement, because that's what we're doing. Now, of course, there have been religious movements to do or attempt to do what we're trying to do. And the only one I can think of right now in this Nation of Islam, an organization that I take nothing from. I revere, respect, and love the Minister Louis Farrakhan, of course, Brother Malcolm X, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, peace be upon him. But that is a religious movement that is a touchy thing for us, because religion has been used to divide and conquer us. Religion, for us, has created tribalism. And we allow those tribalisms that we push as our identity to separate us, not understanding that it don't matter if you're a Christian or a Muslim or a Hebrew Israelite or whatever. It don't matter if you are single, married, have a degree or not. It doesn't matter if you make 100,000 or you're in poverty. It doesn't matter if you're straight or gay. It doesn't matter if you're biracial. None of that matters. The common thread that binds us, the one thing that is the reason why we're treated like the way we're treated, is because of the color of our skin. Which means these tribal things that we've allowed ourselves to be involved in, that has separated us, has to stop. If we're going to win, and that's a big if we're going to win, we have to have people that understand the importance of unity. Unity is what will allow us to be in a position to win, because as a unified group, there is nothing on this planet short of an act of a higher power that can stop us. And being the spiritual force that we are, an act of a higher power is only going to come on our behalf. Black people are not intellectually, physically, economically, or spiritually deficient. Everything we need to build our own nation, either within this nation, somewhere else, or on the continent of Africa, we already have. We're simply not organized and connected in the fashion that will allow us to use those things to move ourselves forward. Now, we have, as I've just stated, some phenomenal leadership in this organization. But I just gave you the years of experience from those individuals that are leading those departments. That does not include the cabinet that we're adding to these departments every single day. By the end of October, every department that we have, all 19 of them, one of which is international, all of those departments will have the years of experience I just gave you, plus a cabinet that's going to include over 100 years of experience in each of these individual areas. That's our strategic plan from day one. That's what we've been focused on doing from day one. And if you watch my broadcast, if you watch my posts, everything that I've been saying for the past 3 years is what I am now doing. Because that has been the plan from day one, because that is how I've been trained from the age of 22 to now, and I'm 48. The people that are involved in this movement know what they're doing. I challenge anyone, and feel free to share this with anybody, which I hope you share anyway. I will put our leadership right now in their categories against anybody that comes to the fore. I will be surprised if anyone that meets the challenge knows more, has more experience, is doing more, is more committed, and is willing to lead and train Black people. And if that person exists, then damn it, we'll put the department under that person, and all that we have would now support that person, because that person is simply going to move us in a direction to be bigger, better, and stronger. And I'm saying to you right now, we have leadership with multiple years of experience, and by the end of October, via the Survival Summit, each of these departments are going to have hundreds of years of experience. Can you imagine an agricultural department that has 100 years of experience that's committed to ensuring Black people can feed themselves? Can you imagine having a security department that has 100 years of experience that's focused on ensuring Black people are safe? Can you imagine having a spiritual healing and well-being department that has 100 years of experience that's focused on ensuring that Black people are healed spiritually and psychologically. Can you imagine having an international business department that has 100 years of experience that's focused on ensuring that we are connected on an international level in all things business? That organization, as far as I know, doesn't exist today aside from the Black Gold Nation movement. And I am saying to you that you need to be a part of this organization because we're moving and doing things that traditionally has been targeted for destruction, because it is the answer to building power for Black people. We don't stop moving or stop building because our enemy is evil. We don't stop moving or stop building because we are afraid, because that fear is not going to stop them from doing what they do. We don't stop moving or stop building because they are going to seek to destroy us. That's what they do anyway. I'm the father of 3. There is nothing I would not do to protect my children. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you bring into the fight. I don't care how big you are. If you're trying to hurt my children, God help you, because I'm coming, and I'm coming with everything I got. And despite my size, I'm breaking a lot. I'm quick. so I'm going to come with it. And everything that I've been trained to do, both in the military, prior to the military, and after the military, I'm coming with it, because damn it, those are my children. We can afford not to be that way for all Black children, because all Black children need to be at the center of our activities, so that we need to surround them with multiple layers of security. Why? Because at birth, they are targeted for someone's destruction. If we don't understand that, we're going to continue to lose. And again, I do not care about your personal pursuits to do whatever you're trying to do. Amen. More power to you. However, your time ritual has to change to include time committed to a movement that's trying to build power for you and your people. Because without that, you're going to lose, period. And those of us that don't believe that, we're going to end up like those Jews who thought they could cozy up to the Germans and or Hitler and found themselves in the ovens and gas chambers like everybody else, because they thought their individual success would allow them to cozy up to the enemy and be okay. And for some of them, a small few, they got away with it. I don't know how they had difficulty living with themselves. A lot of them committed suicide after the fact. But a lot of those Jewish people were destroyed. If you're not a part of a group that has power and you exist in an anti-Black world, you're going to lose. If you're not a part of a group that has power and you exist in an anti-Black world, your children are going to lose. If we are not a part of a group that's trying to build power, our sisters, our brothers, our elders are going to lose, because there's simply too much that we're up against that we cannot fight back against individually. The leadership that we have in this movement, be they absolutely phenomenal, can do nothing by themselves. Yes, we have agricultural leadership that has 25 plus years of experience, but his ability to grow food means nothing if he doesn't have a political movement around him, if he didn't have physical security around him, if he didn't have an educational program that's teaching the people the importance of growing our own food around him. He is by himself. An international business department that has 20 plus years of experience. I think it's more than that, but 20 plus years of experience. He will not be successful in the long run if he don't have security around him, if he doesn't have a political machine around him, if he doesn't have an educational program to educate the people to the importance of what he's trying to do so they can be a part of it. He will lose ultimately. A spiritual healing and well-being department with 20 plus years, the sister that's running that department will lose on her own if she don't have physical security around her, institutional power around her, political power around her. All of these departments that we have to work together, have to be connected. Like Brother Clarence Avant, we have to be connected because the strategy has to be a unified strategy covering multiple arenas, multiple avenues of approach. We lose because we're trying to do things the way they have said this is how it's okay to be done. We lose because we are allowing those that have oppressed us for the last 400 years to tell us how to fight for our own freedom. You can never win abiding by somebody else's rules of how you fight. There are no rules in a fight. So if you are trying to harm my children as their father, there ain't no rules. And those of us that have sought to build by not abiding by those rules have been met with things that have either had them forced them to flee the country, or they're no longer here. But that's the reality of what it means to be Black. It is what it is. And if you're not involved in a movement, if you're not contributing time to such a movement, if you don't sacrifice a portion of your time ritual to such a movement, then you are part of the problem as much as our enemies are, because you're doing nothing to ensure our children have a future worth living in this country. You're focused on me, myself, and I. You're focused on individualism, which makes you individualistic, which means you're a problem. Because if our children are being targeted for destruction and you're focused on your business or your family or your, I don't know, book, whatever the hell, and you're ignoring everything else, that's a part of the problem. Because we all have to do every single thing we can to be unified, or we're going to continue to lose. And I'm saying to you, given the fact that we have some phenomenal leadership in this organization, none of them can win without the others moving with them at the same time. Our unity is our greatest weapon. And if we're unified, and I don't mean everybody, because it'll never be everybody. If a critical mass of us are not organized and connected, we're going to lose. But conversely, if we are connected and organized, there is nothing on this earth that can stop us, because we outnumber everybody else 9-1. I'm sorry, 7-1. Like the brother said, brother Peter said from Sunday's meeting, if all of us decide to stump at the same time with our left foot, we'll make the earth shake or rumble. Phenomenal, brother. And the fact that he is now a part of helping us help him to help us, and he came to us from a referral from Sister Crystal. That's the blueprint to how this works. I'm not talking about rocket science. I'm not talking about brain surgery. We're not splitting atoms. I'm saying we have everything we need to win. We simply need to focus on doing a little bit, as many of us as possible, to win. Sister Crystal saw a post, a live broadcast, or whatever she saw, was already connected to Brother Peter, made a referral. He and I spoke, and now we're on the same page to move toward building power for Black people. He is a part of our 100-year plan to build power for Black people. That is all we're trying to get Black people to do. Give a little bit. Give a little bit. And then get another Black person to do the same thing. If we gave a little bit in large enough numbers, we are unstoppable. If we gave a little bit in large enough numbers, that's checkmate. 2 examples. We gave the movie Black Panther, and you've heard me say this, and I'm gonna keep saying it till it sticks. We gave the movie Black Panther over $500 million. We gave the movie Black Panther, Disney and Marvel Studios, over $500 million in 1 month. Money we still have that we're wasting every single month. What could we do? What if we pretended? What if we played the game with ourselves for a year? What if we played the game with ourselves and we said we're going to pretend that Black people, Black communities, Black children are the movie Black Panther. And every month we're going to give whatever we gave to that movie, the ticket, the popcorn, the candy, the drinks, whatever we gave to that movie, we're going to give half of that to Black people for a year. And we say, we're going to see what happens. If we could do that, not if, yeah, if we could do that, if we decided, because we can, if we decided to do that, then these very real Black people that I just mentioned to you that have this very real experience, we'll be able to put them in a position to have a department by which they work full time for Black people, and they're paid by Black people to do a very Black thing. Agriculture department, Brother Robert Harding, 25 plus years, has been contracted with NASA to grow food in outer space. Is now a leadership person in this organization. He has a $1 million budget that we can give him to grow food, and beyond that, he's going to create industry and teach us how we can create business from the process of growing food to feed ourselves. That is something that we could do. The person that's over our security department, she has 30 plus years of experience. If we pretended that Black people and Black children are the movie Black Panther, We could give her $1 million monthly budget, and she has the experience to put security around her. She could put systems in place, equip Black people to protect Black people. We can do that now. If we pretended that Black people and Black children were the movie Black Panther, and we gave Brother Peter Brown $1 million budget, the brother's already successful in doing what he's trying to do with the Ledge Group. If we gave him, on top of everything that he's already doing without the Black Gold movement, if we gave him $1 million a month, you trying to tell me he won't be more successful? You're out of your mind if you believe that. We have what we need to be bigger, better, and stronger. We're deciding not to be bigger, better, and stronger because we've been conditioned to think and believe that we can't be bigger, better, and stronger. However, the proof that we can be bigger, better, and stronger is evident because we keep doing it for other people. That's the first example. If we pretended that your family, my family, your children, my children, your siblings, my siblings, your parents, my parents, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, if we pretended that those persons were the movie Black Panther, and we said we're going to give half of what we gave to that movie Black Panther to an organization that's all about making sure our families are doing better, and we're going to sit back and watch what happens for a year, the growth, the success, the things we'll be able to put in place that you'll be able to visibly see and benefit from will be absolutely phenomenal, historic, and game-changing. And all we have to do is decide to make that happen. That's the first example. The second example, as to how simple this could be if we decided to make it so. If one Black person, take myself, who loves Black people, wants to see Black people do better. If I go out and get another Black, let's say Danny Edwards, he and I went to high school together, very close friends. I go out and get Danny. Danny and I agree that Black people need to do better. We need to find more Black people to help us do this. So me and Danny, the two of us, we go out and get Sister Crystal and Funi Karima. That's 4 of us. The 4 of us go out and get 4 more. That makes 8. That 8 goes out and gets 16. That makes that 8 goes out and get 8 more. That's 16. That 16 goes out and get 16 more. That's 32. If we did that, one getting one for 28 days, at the end of that 28th day, if everybody gave $4 per month, one getting one for 28 days, and at the end of the 28th day, everybody gave $4. We'd have $532 million from everybody giving $4. If we got 10% of that number, only 10%, not everybody, not half, not 25%, but only 10% of that number, of all those people to give 5 minutes a day toward the building of a Black thing, we'd have 1 million+ hours of activity to build a Black thing. We don't know how powerful we are. We don't know how strong we are. We don't know how close we can be to complete liberation and salvation. If we moved as a unified group, if we thought as a unified group, if we supported one another as a unified group, that's power. We could do a lot with that, and that's just getting started. You know, treating Black people and Black children like the movie Black Panther and only giving half of that to an organization that's focused on Black people and Black children, that creates immense opportunity. But what if we gave everything we gave to the movie? What if we matched what we gave to the movie Black Panther to Black people? What if we didn't just, what if not just 10% of the people in that one getting one scenario? What if not just 10% gave 5 minutes? What if 20% gave 10 minutes? What if we didn't do one getting one? What if we did one getting 2? And then everybody didn't give $4, they gave 5. All of which is possible right now, today, if we want to be bigger, better, and stronger. And I'm saying to you that there's nothing stopping us but us. People like Danny Edwards that I went to high school with. People like Ricky Swank, whom I met through this movement. People like O'Neal Bosley Jr., whom I met through this movement. All of these people like Sister Kiera Scott, who is hopefully about to head one of our departments. People like Brother Peter Brown. These people exist. Intelligent, capable Black people, they exist. They need us as much as we need them. because they bring a level of intelligence and understanding that Black children need to be bigger, better, and stronger. And I understand that it's never going to be every Danny Edwards, every Ricky Swank, every Kiara Scott. I get it. But we don't need all of them. We want them all, but we don't need all of them, because one Ricky Swank, his passion, his intelligence, his understanding could control a city. One O'Neal Bosley Jr., his passion, his intellect, his creativity, his desire to see us be bigger, better, and stronger could control a city. One Kiara Scott could control a city. And these people exist. And we need these people to be a part of what we're doing, but they will never be a part of what we're doing if we aren't a part of what we're doing. We have to do a better job of working with one another so that we can move ourselves forward. We have right now a survival summit. It's called the Black Gold Nation, Black Church, and Black Organization Survival Summit. Black Church, because our people go to church. There are a lot of support and solutions and things that we need from our people that go to church. Black Organization, because our people are members of Black organizations. A lot of support, intellectual capital, blah, 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 that we need. The Black Gold Nation, Black Church, and Black Organization Survival Summit, because we understand that our survival is in question. And it's been in question. And we've been constantly losing and getting weaker because we haven't focused on our survival. So we're having this survival summit so that we can bring like-minded Black people together to discuss the plans to make sure that we survive. The people that I've mentioned, you can meet them every week, every Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You can meet these people, converse with these people, hear their plans, debate, banter back and forth, and choose to say they don't know what they're talking about, they're crazy, or damn, I need to be a part of this. These people are real. I'm one brother. All of them are smarter than I am. I'm one brother. All of them have more experience in what they're doing than I am.